you got to shift at some point, right? Because when you're coming up, you say yes to everything. You know what opportunity is going to work. And then when you get successful, you have too many opportunities. You got to learn to say no. There's paradigm shifts along the journey. And so that was one of them. That's the logical part. And then the illogical part, or the spiritual part, is realizing what true wealth or abundance or success is. To me, it's my definition. True success or wealth is health. It's the ability to have joy in the present moment. If you can do that, you're a wealthy person. And if you're grateful for what you have, you're wealthy. I don't want a life that is hyper successful in the vertical of work and finance, and a desert wasteland in the areas of passionate intimacy, faith, spiritual growth, friendships, fun, physical health, giving back. Right? So I believe the way I look at my life, and I do measure this, is work and mission is but one vertical. And the thing I screwed up in my 20s is I thought if I crushed it so hard in this vertical, meaning I got all the fame, all the money, that I thought the points would carry over. I thought, yeah, I can not show up, to Thanksgiving and not return my mother's phone call because she knows I'm busy. I'm pop star Mike Posner.
You could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zillner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. C's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Well, folks, on today's show, I'm honored to be joined by an expert in her field. This incredible guest here, her husband is how I know her. So somehow, through the way the world works, we were helping her husband grow his successful business. And he says, hey, by the way, my wife is killing the game when it comes to helping women get in the best shape of their lives. She has a wonderful brand. Her name is Chelsea Hallblade. Chelsea, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on. Happy to be here.
Okay, so first off, I'm going to pull up your website so our listeners can get kind of a visual on what you do. That's slaysquadcoaching.com, slaysquadcoaching.com. And we've had the honor to know your husband and to work with you guys for a while. Tell us about your brand. Tell us, when did you start the brand, and what was kind of the genesis for you wanting to really build slaysquadcoaching.com?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is I'm actually a nurse, and I've always been very into health and wellness and taking care of myself, taking care of other people. And I think it was, I mean, 12 years ago now, when I was working in the hospital and just really, really burnt out and not taking care of myself. And I think it's like a pattern that so many healthcare workers fall into is the stress of the job and just taking care of everyone else, but neglecting their own health. Like healthcare workers are really in a bad spot in regards to taking care of their own health. And so I started to take that more seriously, change my diet, get in shape, and really just try to change that for myself because I was like, I'm too early in my career to be feeling like this, to be getting sick all the time, to be low energy, to be eating like this. Like, I'm going to burn out. And when I started to do that, I realized what a need there was. Like, all of my coworkers were asking me for help. They were asking me for help with their diets. They were like, how are you doing it? What are you doing? And I just started helping people completely for free. I started to share my journey on social media and I gained quite a bit of attention from women. And I just realized, like, wow, this is like such a need. It's not just me that is struggling navigating health and wellness while working in the hospital. It is like an epidemic. And so I just started helping people. And I never thought I would start a business. That was not my intention. I thought I would be a nurse forever. I was helping people for free because it was just something I like to do. So that's how it started.
Now, I'm going to pull this up real quick here because our listeners know I talk about this obsessively on our show that everybody out there, if you have a business, you really want to lock in on VISMD. V, get video testimonials. I, get images before and after. S, be search engine relevant, social media relevant. M, get more reviews. And you've been doing this for a long time and you have some really, really compelling stories that you've documented. I mean, some really transformative life changing examples here. So I'm going to pull up the website here. I'll put a link on the show notes, but for anybody who's maybe feeling like the before and they want to feel like the after, walk us through what's the steps what's kind of the workflow like if somebody goes to Slay Squad coaching.com, what happens first, what happens second? Walk us through the steps if somebody wants to potentially become a client of yours.
Yeah, so what they do, they fill out a form. I get on a call and I make sure that I understand their goals and their situation and that I'm a good fit to help them or my team's a good fit to help them. And if so, we get them started like immediately, like within the next couple days, they'll be on a plan, on a program. And what we do is a lot more transformative than just weight loss. Most women want to lose weight, but it's helping them to have the tools to be healthy and sustain this forever because, there's a difference between losing weight and then there's a difference between keeping it off forever, a huge difference. So our goal is that this is the last, we don't want to say diet, but like you won't need to diet ever again. You won't need to do an extreme ever again. So we'll work with you mainly on nutrition. That is key and where so many of us struggle. But we help you with nutrition. We help you with workouts in a way that fits a busy life, especially for our moms. And then mindset in order to get in the right headspace to truly take care of yourself and live your best life. And then a healthy foundation. That's another area we help with because you can't neglect your gut health, your sleep, your hormones. If you're doing that, you're going to struggle with the weight loss piece.
Now, again, for somebody who's watching this for right now and they're feeling like the before and they want to become the after, I think it can be overwhelming to feel like the before and know where you want to get to. And it can feel like, wow, this isn't possible. But you have so many documented video testimonials, images before and after. You have such a documentation here. What's the journey like for the women that choose to sign up for your program? What's that journey look like? Or what is it a daily call? And I also know you've helped some men as well. I mean, is this a daily call? Is it a weekly call? Are we doing daily sessions, weekly sessions, monthly sessions? Walk us through just a little bit about your method.
Yeah, absolutely. So the beauty of what we do is it's all virtual. So we have women all over the world. Like we have people from everywhere. We have people in Europe, Canada, all over the US. So you can be anywhere. You can work out on your own schedule. So what we do is we help you with the nutrition piece and then we help you with the workouts, but the workouts don't have to be done like with me. You're not like on a Zoom. You are doing it at your own pace, at your own schedule. You have videos to follow of everything. You know exactly what you're doing, but it's done where you can can move it around to fit your schedule. Because if it doesn't fit a busy life, you're not going to continue to do this. So it's all about making it work for women. And what we do is we are touching base at least once a week with them, which is like our formal check-in process, which is we have for support, accountability, just really getting to know our clients. Like when we say you're working one-on-one with someone, you are like everything is 100% fully customized. Nothing's cookie cutter. We don't have any one woman on the same plan as the next because we're all so different with our schedules, our lives, our goals. So you're checking in every single week with a coach, but we're very, very available. So we're in the app on the daily basically, and you can message us anytime. So it's like having, I like to explain it like you have essentially like a nutritionist, a personal trainer, a coach in your back pocket, because this is a vulnerable, this is a hard journey for a lot of people. Like this is about changing your life forever. So you're going to need that support. It's more than just like having someone to work out with you. This is more about having that ongoing support from a coach and the community. So we have very high touch access in that regard.
Now, who's an ideal fit for you? As I look at the website here and I look at some of the women you work with, it appears like you're working with women of all different ages, all different backgrounds. Who's the ideal fit for you? I know you're working with people that feel tired, people that need to have a lack of energy, people that are chronically sick, people that are feeling self-conscious. But who's a good fit for you, and maybe who's not? And maybe you could talk a little bit about the pricing model. You don't have to disclose all your prices, but I mean, can you talk a little bit about who's a good fit and how much would it cost to get going?
Yeah. So we have quite a variety in regards to who we help. Primarily for me, I work with moms because I'm a mom of two and I do pre and postnatal coaching. So that means postpartum or even pregnancy. So that is primarily who I help right now is moms. I just relate to the journey and I love helping women navigate like how do you actually get back into fitness after having a baby the right way. So that's primarily who we're helping, but also healthcare workers because that is my background and who I was for a lot of years. So helping women navigate how do they take care of themselves while working those stressful long 12-hour shifts. So I'd say moms and healthcare workers are our primary clients, but I now have a team of coaches and they're rock stars, so blessed to have them. And they all have a little bit of a different like target client or person that they really help. Like one of them is a bodybuilding pro and she's now helping women to compete. So those that are like, I want to get in the best shape of my life. I want to get shredded. And then my other coaches are more lifestyle based like me, which is just like, how do we get you healthy so you can live your best, most fulfilling life, show up for your kids, show up for your family. Yeah, so that's primarily who we help.
Now, as far as the costs, I know you have different pricing to make this affordable for a lot of different people. Could you touch on that? Again, I'm not looking for you to share every single aspect of your pricing model, but can you share, I mean, is this, what kind of packages do you have or what kind of pricing models are available to help our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. We have price points really for everyone. And I try to explain that like on the call, we can dive into like what your budget is and what you're looking to do. For coaching, we do 3-month, 6-month, or 12-month packages. And we do strive to keep this as affordable as we can. So you can pay in full, you can do payment plans, you can do extended payment plans, and you're looking at a couple $100s a month, up or down from that. And we can work with you to make it work into your budget. And I really mean that. We are less expensive than if you were to go and work with an in-person personal trainer. So you're going to get so much more. You're going to get the nutrition, the mindset coaching, the community, my app. You're going to get the one-on-one support all day, not just at that little quick session where you're working with a trainer, and you're going to pay a lot less than if you were to go and hire someone in person. So that's the beauty of it. But we have a newer membership that's $29.99 a month for those that maybe aren't ready to invest in coaching, but they want workouts, they want a community. So we really have something in every budget.
Now, in part 2 of today's show, we're going to interview we are actually going to be interviewing the Incredible Hulk, Alou Frigno, who played the Incredible Hulk championship bodybuilder. This guy got up to 315 pounds at 2% body fat. And so I hear a lot of women say, Clay, I am not looking to bulk up. I'm not wanting to become huge. I fear working out because I don't want to get bulky. I'm sure you hear the same kind of things. And so on part 2 of today's show, we're going to interview the Incredible Hulk, who's going to talk about how to bulk up and all the things that he wants to do. But talk to the women out there that I think there's a lot of fear that moms have about working out or nutrition coaching. What are some of the commonly asked or frequently asked questions or areas of pushback or hesitancy that moms have when it comes to optimizing their health, working out, maybe free weights, these kind of things?
Yeah, I think that's still something that so many women are scared of is getting in the weight room or lifting weights even from home. But I'm happy to see, I feel like that's changing. I feel like there's so much education and stuff out there now about the benefits of weight training. And the truth is that as we age, we lose muscle. Like if you're in your 30s, you are losing muscle at a rapid rate. And that's why we're more injury prone. That's why like our metabolism slows down as we age. Like putting on a little bit of muscle is going to benefit you not just in how you look, but like your health as you get older. And so if you're not actively striving to try and get stronger and put on muscle mass, you are losing it. And there are so many negative health consequences. And I don't think women understand that. And also understanding as a female in particular, like it is very hard to build muscle. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of effort. It's not just going to happen to you overnight. What's going to happen is you're going to feel better. You're going to look better. Your body is going to be more primed for like regulating your blood sugar. You're going to be higher energy and you're going to have that little more toned look from lifting weights way, way, way before you get bulky. Those people that look big and bulky, I mean, they spend hours, years, they're obsessing over it to get to that point. It's very hard. So it's not really a legitimate fear.
Okay, now my final question I have for you is a lot of times great people like you hop on a show and you know the host asks you some questions and you think to yourself, man, I wish they would have asked me this, or wow, I wish I could have said that. Is there anything in particular that's on your heart, on your mind that you really want to share with our listeners today where you say, Clay, every one of your listeners, every one of the moms watching today's show needs to know this? I'll give you the final word.
Yeah, just that you can do it, especially as a mom. Like, I think we put ourselves on the back burner a lot and think that maybe we can't do that, that like achieving a body you feel good in and feel healthy and high energy, that's just like over for you. And I don't want that to be the case for any woman. And I want you to know that taking care of you is taking care of your family and your kids, and putting yourself first in some areas where you feel good, you're going to show up better as a mom and as a wife. And, you know, if you're a business owner, and it's really, really important if you want to really live your best life and be the best mom you can be.
Now, I encourage everybody out there, if you are a mom and you're looking to optimize your health, go to slaysquadcoaching.com. Again, that's slaysquadcoaching.com. Could you walk us through the name, I guess? This is my final question. Slay Squad Coaching. Where did the name come from? Why are we going to slaysquadcoaching.com? This is a very successful business. You've built massive traction. You're helping women all over the country now. But that would be my final question I have is what is the origin of slaysquadcoaching.com?
I think just not taking it too seriously when I started, people were like, oh, let's slay. It was like kind of a trending thing. And people would be like, oh, I'm going to slay that workout. And so everyone would also say, we love being a part of the squad. And I liked the word squad. And one thing we do really, really well in the program that I think truly is unmatched is the community. Like people don't want to leave the community. So like we have our own little squad and everyone kind of talks about how much they love their squad. So it's just where it came from. And it kind of stuck. And it's kind of cheesy, but it works.
Amen to that. All right, folks, on part 2 of today's show, we are interviewing Lou Ferrigno in studio, the Incredible Hulk. It's going to be mind-blowing. And if you grew up as a kid and you had your Incredible Hulk lunch pail, your lunch box, you're going to love this show. If you remember the Incredible Hulk TV show, you're going to love this show. Lou Ferrigno, the famous workout partner, legendary workout partner of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the man who popularized weight training through a documentary called Pumping Iron. Lou Ferrigno's on part 2 of today's show. And again, folks, if you haven't gone to that website, go to it right now. The website is slaysquadcoaching.com. Quick pop quiz. What's that website? slaysquadcoaching.com. Chelsea, thank you so much for your time, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we have a very special guest in the studio, a man who you don't want to make angry because you wouldn't like him when he's angry. Lou Ferrigno, welcome on to the Thrivetime show. How are you, sir?
Thank you. I love your man cave.
Oh, you like it?
I'm very impressed. Brick, beautiful books, dogs. I mean, all over the place. I mean, I'm impressed. I love it. It's wonderful. It shows your personality.
Well, thank you, brother. I'm glad you're enjoying the accommodations. Now, I have in my stack of stuff here some great questions for you.
Okay.
I think they're great, and perhaps you'll enjoy them. So here we go. Question number 1. You started working out, if I'm getting it correct. You started getting serious about fitness around the age of 13. Maybe I'm wrong.
13.
When did you first get the itch or that desire, that burning desire to begin focusing on fitness?
Well, at the age of 12, 13, I was obsessed with power. I had you know how to overcome diversity. My hearing, the speech, because close to birth, I lost like 85% of my hearing. I had a severe speech impediment. So I was attracted to power. It's about the age of 12, 13. I just love to get my hand on any waist I can. They just want to work out because they have friends down the street. They worked out. If they were flex, they would show the abs and their arms and bicep. I wanted to emulate that. So it's about maybe 12 and a half, 13.
So 12 and a half, 13. Do you remember your first weight set? Was it some used gear? Was it weights you found around the house? What kind of gear were you starting out with?
My first weight set is that I went to a junkyard. I got cement pails and a broomstick. I made makeshift barbell set out of cement. I put the broomstick in the cement with a cement hardened. My own weight. I put maybe I get 6 pails, half full cement, 3/4 full cement, and full cement. Those are my barbells when I was a kid.
And what was your routine like when you were 12, 13 years old? I mean, what time were you working out? Were you working out like an hour a day or all day? Or
No,
what were you?
very sporadic. I would do chin-ups. I would do anything I can to learn about exercising. I know sometimes I would do too much. I couldn't walk the next day. I couldn't go to the bathroom, trying to do too many squats. So it was like a trial and error. But the thing is, I just love working out. You got to remember, at that time when I was doing that, people condoned me for working out with weights. They thought that I needed to see a doctor or talk about what's Arnold Schwarzenegger, bicep, muscle magazine, that food, protein powder, that all I talked about.
Now, again, you are known as the man who made weightlifting popular. I mean, you're the guy who did that. So sometime between the age of 13 and the age of 21, you became a championship bodybuilder.
Yeah.
When did it flip in your mind where it became serious that this was something you wanted to do? When did you start thinking in your mind about Mr. Olympia and these sorts of things?
Well, when I first competed at 19, I competed my first competition. It was open New Jersey Mr. Hercules competition. I came 23rd place. But I realized when I stepped on stage, they were taking pictures, people were clapping for me. I said to myself, this one I want to do. This is my path. I want to be a world bodybuilding champion. I never talked about, never told anyone, but that was my dream. So I to follow that path, to keep working out, to put on more size and muscle in order to win these different competitions.
So, Mr. Universe, you win that at age 21.
Yeah.
Walk us through, if you can remember, what were you eating at the time? Like, what was your daily routine? You're 20 years old. You haven't won Mr. Universe yet, but you can see it in your mind's eye. What were you eating? What was the daily routine like?
You know, that's a good question, Clay, because back then it wasn't like today. It was like a high protein and low carbohydrate diet. I would say maybe no more than maybe 2,500 calories. Yeah, it's like you want to starve the fat and feed the muscle. But today, because of cardio, you can eat more. But back then, it was like a high protein, low carbohydrate, and you're laying on the couch like a zombie, thinking about your next meal. So, no.
What were you eating? Like, what was your were you eating chicken breast or ribeye steaks?
In the morning, I woke up. I had 2 cans of Bucaresto tuna fish in olive oil. Lunchtime, I have a banana and a burger. Supper, I have maybe a whole chicken, and maybe 1 or 2 burgers with water and lettuce with lemon, olive oil, and vinegar. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Every day?
Just about.
Every day.
6 weeks before the competition.
Okay. So, and then when you get into the competition, now you're 6 weeks before the competition and you're trying to lean up, what are you allowing yourself to eat or not eat in those final maybe 2-3 months before you compete?
Well, 3 months you could be on a good balanced diet. You could have like a cheat meal, but the last 5-6 weeks is very intense because you have to really focus on being as defined as much definition you have for the competition. Plus, that also incorporates posing, tanning, besides the dieting and the training. You're trying to conserve that energy just to get by day.
So you won in 1969, I believe. Your age 20-ish is when you
73.
1973. Okay, that's when you started winning a lot of competitions there. But then you met Arnold Schwarzenegger at some point. What age were you when you first met Arnold?
17.
17. Who was bigger when you met?
Well, I was skinny. I went to Madison Square Garden. I remember he first came from Europe.
Yeah.
He competed for Mr. Universe that evening. I'll never forget. I walked in, and my father was a police officer, so he took me in the back. I had a chance to get a backstage pass. We went in the pump-up room. This was during the prejudging. I remember he was sitting there doing barbell curls, and I'd never seen anybody so big in my life. You know, I'm 17. I looked at him. I said to myself, this is unbelievable, because actually you go from the magazine to the, and like you see him in person.
Yeah.
And that had an effect on me. I said, that's what I want to be like.
Now you're 6'5", if I'm correct.
Yeah.
How much did Arnold weigh, and how much did you weigh? When you first met Arnold, how much were you weighing at the age 17 versus how much was he weighing approximately, you think?
I was 172 pounds. Arnold at the time was 230. 230. When I competed against him, he was 228. I was 268.
Wow.
Well, he's 6'1".
So what were the mind games that Arnold would play with you and that you would play with Arnold? Because you guys were known for at that level, you guys are both elite athletes. I mean, you guys are both elite athletes. And if you watch Pumping Iron, which I have watched, it every single time I watch it, I see Arnold saying things to you. He's playing mind games. You're playing mind games with him. What is going on? What kind of mental jujitsu is happening at the top levels there of competition?
To be honest with you, it wasn't Arnold playing mind games. My father playing mind games.
Your father?
Yeah, because I wasn't in my best shape. I was training for the ABC Superstars. They gave me the green light for Pumping Iron. I trained like 6 weeks for the competition. I had a very abusive relationship with my father because he couldn't stand me losing, so I had so much pressure. But at the time, I wanted to be like Arnold. I wanted to smooth with people, have a good time, smile. I was very introverted, beaten down. But that's interesting because Arnold knew he was going to win. So that's why it gave him the benefit of the doubt, the fact that he acted like a champion. Because if it was a very close competition, he wouldn't be smiling in that movie like he was, because he would know that he has stiff competition, that there's a chance he could lose.
So what was it? What is your take on Pumping Iron, the documentary that came out that really was the first documentary about weightlifting that made it popular? I mean, I would say it changed the game for fitness. What was your response to, if you look back at it, did you like the documentary? Do you feel like it was fair, not fair? What's your thoughts on it?
I loved it. As a matter of fact, it showed all the housewives, all the mothers, what bodybuilding was. It came out of the shadow. Like, for example, like my mother never seen me work out. But she's seen the movies, she's seen me working out at the gym, because back then women didn't work out. People would learn what bodybuilding was. They hear bodybuilding, they'll think of weightlifting, like the weightlifting you see in the competition, like in the Olympics, but they didn't know what bodybuilding was, competition. So when the movie came out, it showed the world what bodybuilding competition is.
So the movie comes out, you become a household name. Were you ready for that? What was that like when you walk into a grocery store and now everybody knows who you are? Because previously you probably already drew a crowd because you were the big guy. You walk into a hardware store, people already kind of recognize you're doing something. And you walk into a grocery store, people recognize you. But what was it like when people would yell at you, Lou, or hey, Lou, or people knew you on the street as Lou? What was that like?
It was respect, because growing up, putting all the size on, people looked at me like a freak. Like, I'd go to a discotheque trying to pick up girls to go out to dance. They would look at me. They'd be very intimidated. When the movie came out, it showed that it was a sport. It wasn't something that I was like some kind of Andre and Giant from the basement coming out.
So it was a respect thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when were you able to monetize it and turn it into a career? At what point did this become, because you're living a life of poverty at this, I mean, up until you start winning. I mean, when did it become where it became a viable career for you?
Well, I moved to California to train for the 1977 Mr. Olympia, because after Pumping Iron, I tried for pro football. I was kind of pushed into it by my father. I didn't like it. Then I moved to California in 1976. I was going to train for the 1977 Mr. Olympia. 6 weeks before, I received a phone call with an audition for the Incredible Hulk pilot. I went for the audition, and then the rest is history.
So
that shit to me is a show business.
So the Incredible Hulk, when that came out, how did that change your life?
Unbelievable. I mean, I had to walk down the street, cover my face, because the way I walked, they knew. If I hold my face, cover my face, they would know it's the Hulk. This was like worldwide. It was so overnight that it was unbelievable. I mean, it was like I never expected anything like it.
So and at this point, I mean, my understanding, again, I've got my research here, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think you were actually asked by Michael Jackson to train him at some point. Did that happen? Was that a real thing?
Yes, because Michael Jackson's doctor was a friend of mine, Dr. Steve Hoffman. He said Michael needs some exercising and fitness training, but he can't go to a gym. And he said, you'd be perfect to train him privately. So Michael and I became friends. It was a great experience for me to get to know Michael, because he kind of like trusts me, because I admire his passion for music. He admired my passion for fitness. So we collaborated together and became good friends. So I trained him on and off for many years.
And I know you honor that relationship, but I'm not asking you to share anything scandalous. But I mean, as far as Michael and working with him and training with him, do you have a story or anything in particular that you remember about Michael that maybe most people don't know about Michael Jackson?
Yes. He would come to my house 10 o'clock at night. I would open the gate for him, right? He would come in very quiet. I have all the lights down in my house. In the back, I have my gym in the back of the house. He would come in with the mask on and the glove. I said, Michael, why are you wearing the mask? He said, I want people to recognize me. I said, Michael, my dog don't even know you're here. It's 10 o'clock at night. Nobody knows you're here. Okay, I'll take the mask off. and then the only thing I regret that I should have kept his shoes, because one time he left his shoes at my gym and he forgot about it. I should have saved those shoes, but apparently I think the housekeeper threw it away.
Now, what kind of workouts was Michael focused on? What kind of strength training was Michael Jackson doing?
But too much strength. It was like toning, like with the band, high repetition, because he had major difficulty sleeping. And he wanted somebody to talk to. And basically that he just wanted to, because, for dancing, it was like toning, more toning and be more fit than putting on muscle. Like, for example, stretching, using band, high repetition, just to be more flexible, more athletic.
Did you ever go in the studio with Michael and watch him record?
I'm going to, but the problem is I had to work, and then I was back doing a book tour.
Okay.
That I received the news that he passed away. But he wanted me to come to the studio because before the concert, he would rehearse many times, almost on a daily basis.
Now, have you trained with other celebrities throughout your career?
Mickey Rourke,
Really?
Chuck Norris. I trained him for years. Chuck Norris, they were great clients of mine.
Chuck Norris. Is just Chuck Norris terrifying to work with? Were you afraid that he might kill you at any time?
Well, Chuck, if I said do 5 more reps, he would find a way to do it because I would kill him. You come to me, you got to respect my territory.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay. Final question I have, then we'll kind of open it up for questions from the team here. Donald J. Trump reached out to you, I believe, in 2018 and named you as a member of the Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. What was it like to be recognized by the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, as sort of the face of fitness?
It was great because I remember we went to the White House, on the lawn of the White House. Everyone came out. It was like 100 degrees that day. When President Trump came out, he had one look on his face. He said, hey, I'm going back inside because it's so damn hot. But I'll tell you one thing about Trump. I was on Celebrity Apprentice. That man helped me raise over $100,000 for muscle dystrophy for my charity. That man, hands down. I love the guy. He's a great family man. He's keeping our country safe. Myself being a deputy sheriff, I respect that. Donald's been very good to me. And that's why he's close to my heart when it comes to life itself, especially on The Apprentice. I've learned so much from him about branding. We had so much fun on that show.
Now, you are still the voice of the Incredible Hulk for the Marvel movies, I believe, aren't you?
Yeah, for the first 2 Hulk movies, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Was that kind of surreal watching somebody else play you in a movie?
Well, I wanted to do it during the series, but they had somebody else do the voice. But then later on, it's like icing on the cake for me.
Okay. Now, this is Charles Kolaw. Charles Kolaw runs a business. He and his wife started the business called kolawfitness.com. Kolawfitness.com. They have multiple locations all across America. But this is how he got started. He and his wife turned their house into an actual gym. So you go into the living room and there's people doing squats. You go into the guest bedroom, people are doing bench presses. And they built this massive personal training business out of their house and then transitioned that into a successful gym. So with that being said, Charles, you're running a fitness company. I know you're very aware of the life and career of Lou. I know he's a source of inspiration for you. What questions would you have for Lou?
Wait, before I interrupt, you have a gym in your bathroom too?
In my bathroom?
Well, every room in the house.
I sometimes, if I got to get a pump, right? You just where
I admire that.
That's right.
I almost did that myself. Though.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I was going to say, you are, as far as in a bodybuilder, you were one of the largest bodybuilders ever. Of course, I'd done a little bit of bodybuilding, but not like you. But you were huge at one point.
The largest.
What?
I'm the largest ever.
You're the largest. I was going to say, because when you came back, right?
No one's ever been on stage more than 325.
I was going to say, because when you came back after like 20 years, I think you were in your 40s. You came back and you were probably the biggest bodybuilder I've ever seen. And so that was so. What was your top weight? You said what was it again?
325.
325
2% body fat.
2% body fat.
What?
325 on stage, guys. That's insane. There's not anybody even close to that nowadays.
Well, think about this. For you to know, the hardest thing for me is to develop the hunger to compete again. That was harder than getting in that condition.
Now, I want to make this applicable for all of our listeners, and just to give you some context there, Lou, we have about 1 million people a week that tune into this broadcast. About 1 million people a week are very confused. They can't find another show. They tune in, and when they tune into the show, they tune in because it's a business show. We teach how to grow a company, and what I find, and I call it crap, but core, repeatable, actionable processes to be successful. You got to nail down your core, repeatable, actionable processes. So, business is my niche. We have dentists we work with, doctors we work with, lawyers, and I tell them all, you got to find your core, repeatable, actionable processes, and then we as a coaching program hold them accountable to do it. But what would you say to somebody who says, I'm getting bored with doing the same routine, because you locked in for decades? What do you say to somebody who's having a hard time with the mindset of nailing down their core, repeatable, actionable processes?
Are you talking about fitness, or are you talking about
fitness or business, or just?
I would say take a week off, flush your mind out, focus on something else, and then find other small goals you can focus on that leads to big term goal. Because write down the negative and the pro. And look at that. Careful, you have to show anyone the negative and the pro, the whole list, and see your inside what your heart tells you what you really want to do. Because sometimes you're involved doing something you're not happy doing. You have a passion for something else. That secret in the passion, if you tap that, that's a secret that brings out to make you very successful. What you just mentioned.
It's powerful. It's powerful. Now, to my left, we have Kevin Falcon. Kevin, he has it's a lawn care company, and it's called Kickin' Grass. Kickin' Grass. So should you find yourself buying a home in Tulsa and you need some lawn care, that's him. There's Kevin Falcon. And so, Kevin, I'm going to have you hop on the mic real quick. You can ask any question you want for Lou. We've got many people, less mics than people, so I'm scooting over so you can ask you a question. Just make sure you hop right on the mic there.
All right, Lou. Big fan. Really connected with really connected with Hulk when he had his smash and his passion for destruction. Having all that, though, what would you recommend for a mowing guy to how would the Hulk handle a customer?
Wait. I need to see your lip. Please repeat the question.
How would you handle the Hulk handling a customer who likes to measure her lawn with a ruler?
How would I handle the Hulk to measure the lawn with a ruler?
The customer. How would the Hulk handle as a mower handle the customer who after you're done mowing likes to go out and measure her lawn with?
It would destroy everything.
Come on.
It's good. Okay. So, JT, I'm going to have you hop on this mic too. That way we can see you. So we'll go to Dr. Sherwood. Now, Dr. Sherwood, you have a very successful organization called Sherwood.tv. Dr. Sherwood's on the show every week. Dr. Sherwood, what question would you have for Lou on behalf of the listeners out there that are really wanting to pull some extreme wisdom out of the mind of Lou Frignum?
Okay, there's two questions because I've gotten to know Lou as a friend and spent the last couple of days with him in a lot of different settings. Lou, you talk a lot about fear. Mm-hmm. That's one question. I want you to hit on that because people have fears about not being able to achieve, or fears that maybe they don't know if they can succeed. And the second question is, I want you to address pain. Because you have an interesting perspective on pain. It's not just the pain of physical pain, it's the pain of emotional pain.
Okay, the first question about fear. In life, you have to embrace fear. You know what the number one fear in life is? Public speaking. People would jump out of planes, skydive, not to be a public speaker. People, a lot of times, fear holds them back. The biggest fear factor comes sometimes when people try to lose weight. They can't handle the feel and be successful to change their life because they refrain from that. They have that negative voice saying you're not good enough, good enough. So for me, what I've learned in life, you see, we all have fear, but you learn to minimize those fears. It'd be very hard to eliminate them. If you minimize those fears, it gives you greater sensitivity, more power when it comes to positivity. So that's why you have to go after it, go towards the fear. Don't run away from the fear. The second question, talking about pain, to be a world champion, you have to love pain. The emotional pain, of course, you have to have. Be successful in any business, you're going to deal with failures, you're going to deal with losses, debts, assets, stuff like that. But the most important thing is you have to love that kind of emotional pain and deal with it because that's what makes you rich. That's exciting. If you enjoy that, you're successful. If you can't deal with that, then get out of the kitchen. Right?
Powerful. Now, let me brag on JT before we get him on the mic here. JT Lawson has worked in my organizations for a long time. I met him because he was an employee for one of my clients.
Wow.
And so he reached out to me and he said, hey, I've got approval from my employer. And the employer was a basketball training facility, a longtime client of mine called Score Basketball. And JT said, it's okay with my boss. Can I come work for you for free? Because I want to become successful. And I said, okay, sure. So he came and worked for free and was diligent. I mean, I try to get to work every day at 5 a.m. This guy's getting there like at 4:45. He's messing with me. Psychological warfare here, this guy. He's getting to work early every day. And he worked as kind of almost like my assistant / booker for my show. So he's going 90 miles an hour. He traveled with me to many of these events we did. And then at a certain point, he said, hey, I'd like to own my own business. And so now he's gone on to become one of the most respected dog trainers on the planet. So now he trains dogs, and that's what he does. And his brand he runs is called Make Your Dog Epic. That's what he does. So he's a dog trainer. He manages a team of people. You've trained celebrity dogs, dogs for famous people. So JT, I'll give you the mic there, sir.
Sweet. So I wanted to ask you, because for me, I understand to be able to have what other people have, you have to be willing to do what they did. And so my question is, because I've been in the military, I did play college basketball, I worked for Clay, and I'm a very big, I believe having mentors or your team around you is absolutely vital. I believe you can't do it by yourself. And if you're surrounded by people who will constantly bring you down, then you can't reach your goals. So how did you, or maybe you disagree with me, but how did you surround yourself with people? I know you said your dad pushed you and it was kind of not a great relationship. But how did you surround yourself with people who would help you reach your goals?
Well, I carried my father's pain for many years, and I realized that it couldn't go nowhere. And I realized that being so beaten down that I was smart enough to learn that the only way for me to survive is embrace my passion. Like, for example, like your passion. Like, I would definitely like to work for him, free for Clay too, because if I had an opportunity like you, because for me, every day, I'm always open to learn something, as long as you don't have an ego. So my father's situation, when he told me one time, he said, I'm a misfit. He said, you'll never amount to anything, because when he condoned me for that, I realized that I had to do something to go the high road, take a positive way, or otherwise I refrain from the situation, become a drug addict, drink alcohol, and be depressed. So the fire inside of me, I listened to my heart. I said to myself, I'm going to follow my passion, even if I fall on my face. Like a perfect example, Stan Lee for years wrote many different comic books. Did you know many years ago he was at a party, people said, what you do for a living? He said, I write comic books. People walked away from him. They were embarrassed. It was a shame. But Stan Lee, I mean, he wrote comics. He stuck it out. Look, he became a billionaire, like the Marvel Universe. In my situation, that's why I followed my dreams, my heart. I became very successful, not as a bodybuilder, as an entrepreneur, motivational speaker, everything, as an actor. But the thing is, I realized that you had to make that shift. That you have to have a positive support group. If you have negative people, keep conversations to a minimum. Stay away from the naysayers. Always hear the naysayers, because my whole life I kept hearing, if you had perfect hearing, if you had this, if you had that, you'd be successful. I kept sick and tired of hearing if. I made those dreams happen.
That's great. And my follow-up would be, because Kirk Franklin, he talks about how there was two brothers. They both had an alcoholic father who was abusive.
Okay.
And one grew up to be an alcoholic and be abusive, and the other one grew up to be a successful businessman. And then they asked the brothers, why are you doing this? And both of their answers were, because I had an alcoholic father. So that's big, because you took what was a negative and turned it into a positive. And so can you elaborate a little more? Because there's people who have, there's always people telling them, you can't do this because of this, you can't do this because of this. And you can either allow that to affect you and go down, or you can allow that to affect you and go up. So how do you turn that and you fight that negativity and you turn that into a positive?
Well, what's interesting, when you just said I have a brother that passed away, he was the opposite. The same thing. He was like kind of obese, lazy, watched TV, he had no confidence. I would turn that around, knowing that the fire inside of you have to recognize, you have to say to yourself, is this what I want? See, life is about choice. I don't care what people say, people blame each other. You got to make a choice. You make your own choice. You want to be fat, you want to be an alcoholic, you want to be this, it's a choice. Only you could change that. Maybe get some therapy, maybe talk to somebody that's positive. But the thing is, what keeps you going is the passion. If you have passion about something, that makes you successful. That's the key to break through all the limitations.
Right.
I love it.
Wow. Okay. Now I've got a massive stack of questions for you. So here we go.
Okay.
There's somebody out there who's watching today's show that feels a little bit overweight, a little bit, maybe someone else feels a little bit unsuccessful in finances. Maybe somebody else feels like they could be better with their family. And I break these areas of life into a philosophy that I teach called F7. So I try to teach my clients that, look, we have 24 hours in a day, and we can focus on our faith, our family, our finances, our fitness, friendship, fun, and whatever gets scheduled gets done. So somebody who's listening to today's show, you are a phenomenal father and you're really into fitness, but you're financially struggling. Somebody else listening to today's show, you're doing great with fitness, you're doing great with finances, but your family does not like you. So to have success in all of those areas is challenging: faith, family, finance, fitness, friendship, fun. So I want to ask you, what advice would you have for the busy entrepreneurs that watch this show about organizing their day? Do you have any pro tips or any philosophies or any beliefs you have about how to organize one's day?
Well, I've started over my life many times. You got to have that inner happiness. Meaning you got to be happy inside with yourself. That is the core that makes everything else successful. That change your mindset, that change your physicality, that change your attitude with people. It's all about that inner happiness, that drive, and that passion, because it affects relationship, it affects yourself. If you're not happy with yourself, especially when you're inside, it can affect everything else. It's a very simple thing, but a lot of people make it complex.
Now, this is going to, I don't want this to come across as though I think that I'm some elitist. I just want to be very clear about this. I'm very self-aware. You happen to be a guy who's at the pinnacle of fitness. I happen to be a guy who's not at the pinnacle of fitness, but we have to interact with each other today.
Right.
And so what happens is in business is I find that there's a lot of quotes in business books that say you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. However, I have hundreds of employees and I have to spend time with all of them. Some of them are great. Some of them are not. Some of them are great at fitness, but they're not good at their job. Some people are great at their job, but they're not good. So when you're in an environment where you're trying to perform at your peak with fitness, how did you not become the average of the 5 people that you interacted with? Because most people did not have that obsession you had for fitness.
Competing with yourself and maximizing your personal power.
Competing with yourself.
Maximizing your personal power. I mean, for example, I can't compete with you.
Yeah.
You can't compete with me in certain areas. But I've learned to maximize my personal power myself to be the best I can be. That's the best satisfaction you give to yourself. If you can't maximize your personal power, you're going to rely on others for approval, for direction. You're going to compete with other people. You're going to shoot yourself in the lake. It's all about competing with yourself, maximize your personal power, physically, mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Inner dialogue. I want to get your thoughts on inner dialogue. I'm a big believer in it. Sometimes my wife or kids will say, "Who are you talking to?" And I'm going, myself. I'm having a great conversation. But I'm constantly talking to myself. And I try not to do it super publicly so people don't wonder about it. But there are times during the day where crazy stuff happens. And I often will clap for myself or talk to myself. And every once in a while, someone will notice, "Who are you talking to?" I'm going, myself. And I'm having a good conversation. So I want to ask you your thoughts on inner dialogue. When you're in the gym and you were doing bench press, and you're in there just benching, you're doing squats, what sort of inner dialogue were you having with yourself? Or were you having?
I do the same thing like you're doing. I would feel proud knowing that every day to learn something, that sometimes you have failure, sometimes you're by yourself. Everybody gets depressed from time to time. I would say to myself that all the dreams I've had, I'm reaching my different goals. Like, for example, I'm 73 right now. I got so much more I'm going to do with my life. I'm very happy in my life, even though I'm going through a different situation. But I just say every day, like other words, like I cherish myself. I'm my best friend. If I want to get something, I want to buy something nice. I want to follow my passion. Like I love to shoot guns, like being a sheriff, doing fun things that get me excited, because as a kid I was poor. But at the same time, I talk to myself, saying the things I really want to do. For example, things that I say to myself, I would tell other people about what dreams I really had, because negative people turn you down. But now we get to the point that I'm excited that I tell myself my mistakes, my success, how can I fix it? What can I do tomorrow to benefit, to make things change, to improve my life situation? Consistency.
Now, coaching. I want to get your philosophy on coaching. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, both had very successful careers, obviously, but neither one of them won a single NBA championship without Phil Jackson as their coach. And both now, Kobe Bryant, while he was alive, and Michael Jordan to this day, they talk about how they couldn't figure out how to win a championship without Phil Jackson. And it was sort of maddening for them to know that they couldn't win without him. In fact, Kobe lobbied to have Coach Phil Jackson fired, and then he begged him to come back. So I want to get your thoughts on coaching, because I think coaching is so powerful. And I know in my life, I have spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars paying people. And even to this day, I pay people thousands of dollars a month for certain input and advice. What sort of impact does coaching or mentorship make in your life? Or what are your thoughts on that?
You know, Michael Jordan, he practiced, he played just as hard in the practice game than he played in the real competition. And you know, when I was on Celebrity Apprentice, I kept saying I give 110%, 110%. Coaching comes down to a point. It's about competing with yourself, like I said before, having the confidence and giving the maximum output. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not just about the coaching, it's about the environment around. Because as far as coaching, I call different clients, different people to motivate them. You have to have a whole balanced structure. You got to eat properly, you got to sleep properly, train properly. It's not just the mindset. You got to combine the body with the mind. You got to have a good dietary program to eat, have the brain to function properly, good health. All that comes into play. When it comes to coaching, it has to do with confidentiality and trust.
Wow. Wow. Now, what I want to do is I want to tap into everybody else's questions here and honor your time here. So I'm going to go back to Charles Kolaw, then we'll go from Charles Kolaw with KolawFitness.com to Dr. Sherwood with Sherwood.tv. Then we'll go back to Kevin Falcon. Then we'll end with JT. So Charles Kolaw, again, you run KolawFitness.com. A little context. Could you tell Lou about your gym and how large it is, or just kind of give him an idea so we have some context there?
Yes, absolutely. We started our gym out of our living room, and we trained about 160 clients, my wife and I, out of a little $110,000 or $115,000 house. And anyways, we grew that into a chain of gyms. We've got 6 locations now: Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, and Kansas. We've got, it's a kind of a low cost, high value kind of model. Think of Planet Fitness as kind of like the McDonald's. Kolaw Fitness is like a Chick-fil-A. So we're a Christian version of like a Planet Fitness. And so that kind of sets us apart a little bit there. And then we also do have training. So I'm going to pivot back to fitness.
Yeah.
So going back to fitness, knowing that you were the largest, biggest Olympia bodybuilder ever on stage, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Give me an example of what your training routine was like as far as in your workout then. And then understanding that even though you're the biggest, you've been one of the healthiest. Because think about how many people have had a lot of health issues, but you've maintained being really healthy. That's very admirable. So tell us about what your training was like then and how you've done that to do that and be as healthy as you are for as long as you have.
Are you talking about when I came back to competition?
Yeah, talk about like when you trained your hardest at your biggest, and then also how you now are training for just health and wellness and what you do now. So your routine then and then your routine now. So
okay, when I came back to competition, I announced that the world was making a comeback 17 years. I had to beat all the odds because people expected me to look like the 70 bodybuilders instead of the 90 bodybuilders. Because when I competed in pumping iron, I was the youngest person. When I came back, I was the oldest. So my mindset to myself, besides I mentioned the clay to develop the hunger to compete again, I had to train differently. So I was eating more, doing more cardio. I was maybe taking 300 or 400 grams of protein a day, maybe 500 grams of carbohydrates, eating 5 times a day to work on the posing, because bodybuilding competition is one of the most difficult sports in the world, because you have to be in your best shape one day of the year. If you're off 1 week, you lose the competition.
That's right.
So for me to train, I had to literally do heavy bench presses, heavy squats to build the size again, my thighs, everything. Because to make a comeback, I didn't want to embarrass myself. I didn't want to embarrass bodybuilding. So it was the best.
Because you're the Hulk, right? That's right.
But the best thing I've done, because when I did pumping iron with Schwarzenegger, it was unfinished business. And years went by, I kept saying to myself, if I had one more chance to go on stage. 70 years later, I woke up one morning and said, I'm making a comeback. I signed a great lucrative contract. I made the decision to come back. It was the best thing I've done because I fulfilled that fire in me. If I haven't came back to competition, I feel unfulfilled today. That's what the secret when it comes to life. You need to fulfill yourself with these different things. If you're lacking something, take advantage of it. So I literally trained like a demon for this competition, harder than anybody ever trained before, to bring my body weight up to 325 with 2% body fat. And I came out with a book, video, and a lot of respect from people.
Wow. Wow. Charles, do you have a follow-up question there?
I did. Yes. That you are, I'm going to tell you, that was like, I think even when I look at pictures, I think, when was that? Was that 91? Was that
92, 3, 4? Also, to finish your question, today, afterwards, I made the decision, why keep training heavy? There's some bodybuilders, you and I know, that they keep training heavy, they harm their bodies. I'm 73. I like to eat good, train light. I do machines, I do cardio. I have both knees, both hips replaced.
Okay.
2 rotator cuffs. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm the bionic man, but for the heavy lifting, I would do it again in a second. But the thing is that when you get older, like in the 60s and 70s, you have less blood flow. Your tendons are more brittle. So you have to train smart, train light. I train the same, but I train much lighter. I eat healthy as I can eat because the most important thing is to have the attitude you have in your head. You have to be very consistent and just to stay away from the unsaturated fats, carbonated beverages. So that's the way I train now. I wake up every morning, I look in the mirror and say, thank you, God. I have my health today. I'm
Praise
happy.
God.
I feel good about myself.
Wow.
Man, I love it. Awesome.
Wow. Now I want to go to Kevin Falcon. So again, for anybody who doesn't know, Kevin, he runs a landscaping business. And why I wanted to have him on this show is that there's a lot of, it's very analogous, very parallel being successful in fitness and being successful in business. So if you run a successful business, you've got to be consistent. You have to be diligent. You have to have a plan.
Yeah.
You have to be focused, positive. You have to overcome adversity. There's a lot. And so this guy has really, he worked at a convenience store and he just had this vision. He's going to start a landscaping company. He's done it and he's built it and he's growing. He also has 6 kids. So he's got a lot going on. So Kevin, what question would you have for Lou?
So I'm out there mowing and I've just recently started listing things. What is something that you recommend to help people to focus, to get them motivated, to get them to push through the grind?
To get people motivated? I would say the best thing to get motivated is the fact that work on themselves. Like, for example, what do you really want with yourself? Like, the most important thing to be motivated is the fact that you need to get the negativity out of your mind. You need to get rid of that negative voice. I don't know what kind of environment you came from. The thing is, take small steps. Like, for example, when you started the business, were you very successful in 6 months?
With Clay, yes.
Very successful. I mean, most people start a business. It takes time to build a business, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you got motivated because you followed your passion. What gets you motivated to have a passion? You have that passion that keeps you motivated. If you don't have a passion, what are you motivated for? Well, what's the purpose of life? You want to have something like Stan Lee with the comics, you in the mowing business, he's with the dogs and everything. But the thing is, it's the passion that keeps you motivated because that's something that's positive. That's something you learn from. That's something you write down, your positive things you want to do to increase the business. And also the discipline, the consistency, that makes it very successful.
I'm going to go back to Dr. Sherwood in just a second. But before I do that, JT over here, he has this dog named Achilles. And in order for him to train Achilles to the level that Achilles is at, it's required repetitive training. I would argue maybe boring training, maybe training that wasn't the most exciting, but Achilles can now do a lot of different tricks. And so people want the result, but they might not want the repeatable processes that make it successful. So, JT, could you show Lou kind of a dog trick? Can you show him what your dog can do
Well,
here?
what's funny, when you talk about the dog, he's listening. He just perched right up.
Right. I mean, this dog is super attentive.
Wow.
Here we go.
Down. Bang. Oh, right. Back. Good job, buddy. Right.
Pretty wild, huh?
That's impressive. How long did it take you to treat him? I mean, to train him.
Everything I've done with him took about 5 weeks in total. But I've done things like he's the bat dog for the Tulsa Drillers. We've also done Savannah Banana games, which they sell out of Major League Baseball games. So he goes and grabs the bat in the middle of the field and then brings it back, which it seems like, oh, well, that's just you go grab the bat and bring it back. But there's the catchers throwing the baseball past him. You have the whole stadium. When you do Savannah Banana games, there's all the fire that goes off. There's the pyrotechnics. You have the crowd going wild, and there's all these different distractions that he has to be able to listen even though they're going on. Mm-hmm. So it just adds the difficulty to times 1,000. So
I think that dog understands the words in English. I mean, I had to.
I've been. He is awesome. So
you want to hear a funny story?
Yes.
I have many dogs in my life. I had 2 pugs one time, and I would say to the dogs, "Do you want to go for a walk?" They go for a walk. I said, "Do you want to go?" They go for a walk. I said, "Do you?" They go. I said, "Do." Yeah, it's just I shortened the sentence, but they're so smart they can almost like a telepathic. They can read what you're saying. That's why the same thing. You should have given him a treat because this is the second.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story too, because when I teach backpack, so that's where the dog jumps on your back. I call it backpack because I think I'm funny. But they when you do it, dogs that are smart, they get guessy because, like you said, they're trying to beat you to it because they're like, oh, I know if I do it, it's going to be awesome. Yeah. So, but the issue is when you teach backpack, you have to teach them not to do it when you're tying your shoe.
Wow.
So, because what happened was after I teach it, because people don't think about this. Yes. So then I go randomly one day to tie my shoe, and he tackles me. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, you're trying to do backpack. So you have to teach that too, that they're not, because they're smart, so they're just guessing.
Yeah, like if you see a relative or something, or maybe a small grandma or something, you bend over against a kid, they're talking to me on your back.
So that's the fear. And also the fear is I taught him to jump through like car windows, so he jumps in and out of cars. I'm like, okay, well, we keep the windows up while we're driving, so he doesn't try to beat me. Yeah. So
wow, awesome. That's a great story.
Well, final two questions we have here. So first off, Dr. Sherwood, I think you and Lou are teaming up to do a great event here. Tell us about the event you two are working on, and maybe tell us about that event or any questions you'd have for Lou.
Yeah. So tonight, actually here in a few hours, we're going to do the 25th Night of Empowerment. 25th one. And these are events that are community outreach events that really are designed to give people hope, motivation, inspiration, and even some education. And so we've got fortunate enough to got to know Lou to do this. And so he's going to share tonight his story, his comebacks, and all of the pain he's had to work through to be who he is today, and how that also his story in the future is yet to be written. So we're going to do that tonight, and people are really excited about that. As I've gotten to know you, Lou, over the last, several months, and I want you to comment on this in the area of what we do, because in what we do with my wife, Dr. Michelle, and I at the Functional Medical Institute is we really teach people how to live, longevity, reversing the biological aging processes and speeds, which can be modified now.
Yeah.
Through all the therapies we've got going. So it gives people the idea that they can defeat average. You said something to me that I thought was very cool, because a lot of people think today they can exercise their way to a six-pack. But you talked about what it takes to do that. Kind of talk about that again, would you?
Well, you got to remember, everybody has a different genetic makeup. Anybody could change their physique, their physicality, if you put your mind to it. But it takes the drive to do it. Like, for example, you and I talked and everything about you have to maximize also the training situation, know how to train properly. Like, for example, say someone has insecurity. Like, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. One time I trained this girl. And, when I as a trainer, I demand results. She came to me after 2 months. Nothing happened. And I was getting upset. And she said she did everything I told her. So what happened, though, the next day, I quietly went out on the street to greet her. She pulled up in front of my house. The back door opens. I see all those donuts falling out. And I looked at her. She broke down. She started to cry. Her father was on the Holocaust. He forced her when she was young to get on the scale every day to be in a certain way. So she rebelled against him. That's what most people do. It's not about your training. That's important. That's why when it comes to life itself, you have to understand where you're coming from. It's not the workout, not the food you eat, the training. It's your connection with yourself, deal with the environment. You have the power, the willpower to take the action to make that body change with yourself. And like I said before, you got to give 100%, 110%.
Yeah, and just a little follow-up with that along the lines of kind of what you're doing tonight. We talk about connecting with the individual person to get the best out of them. And they got to learn to love themselves first before they can begin to even be successful. And you had to overcome a lot in your life to get to where you are. But this applies whether it be to lawn business, gyms, or dog training, to everything you do. What advice, and you've done this to me the last couple of days, what advice would you give someone, anyone out there, and anything they want to do? What's that one phrase nugget that you would say that they need to hear?
Give them faith and hope, knowing that no matter where they come from, what situation they're in, what kind of job situation, that the sky's the limit, that there's no limitation if you put on yourself, that if you take action for yourself, you can be successful. I don't care if you're in a wheelchair, I don't care if you're blind, this and that stuff. There's so many things you can do. It has to come from your heart, from yourself, because in my whole life, I incur every injury. I've been beaten down so many times. I'm going through many different failures, and I had to start over many, many times. And the important things you have to know is that life is very short. I mean, we could be gone tomorrow. You got to worry about today. You got to be in the moment, because you got to enjoy every day. You got to have happiness for yourself. If you're miserable about something, deal with the situation, because only you can make that change. People can give you advice, but only you can take that jump, that decision to change yourself. And it's a hardest thing. It's very hard to change. One of the hardest things to do in life, but there's always hope for everyone.
Now, a quick kind of recap and a final question I have for you. Again, for anybody who wants to verify that Charles Kolaw is not a hologram or a fictitious male model, just go to kolawfitness.com. That's that website, kolawfitness.com. To verify that Dr. Sherwood's not just a male model and a stand-in, a hollow head, he's a real person, go to sherwood.tv. That's the real place to go to, sherwood.tv. To verify that JT is a hologram, go to makeyourdogepic.com. That's the website, makeyourdogepic.com. And if you learn more about Kevin Falcon and his landscaping empire he's building, check out Kickin' Grass. That's the name of the website, Kickin' Grass. Just do a Google search for Kickin' Grass and then the word Tulsa. You'll find the website there. Lou, I want to ask you, for people out there who are fired up, they want to reconnect with you, they want to maybe buy your book, they want to attend a conference you're speaking at, they want to follow you, where is the best place our listeners should go? Because a lot of our listeners are note takers. These are people that are action takers. What do they need to do to stay in touch with you, sir?
Well, that's why I'm doing the different podcasts, because I'm in a situation right now. I'm going through a transition in my life. And the best way to connect me, like, for example, the people here come tonight, they can connect to me in person, because what it is, when people see me in person, like, it speaks for itself. I'm not a guy that read a couple of books and got a doctorate, got a certificate saying I'm a great speaker, I'm a guru to change your life. I've lived it. I'm not going to mention names. I lived that life. I've been through that life. I've been there. I've been here. I've been there. I can give you the right advice because I've been there. Because when I was young, I wish I had someone like myself I could look up to get a pat on my back and say, Lou, you can do it. You're okay. Don't listen to your father. I didn't have that. I was like in the middle of a pond with a boat. I know which way to turn. But then one day I woke up, I decided that only you can do it yourself.
Do you have a website like loufrigno.com, or like, do you have a certain website you send people to, or do you primarily post on a certain social media platform?
I do, but I have to, what you call Real Lou Ferrigno, Instagram, Real Lou Ferrigno, Facebook.
Okay, that's where you want to go. Real Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fake accounts, but you're the real one there.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Sir, you were the heaviest weightlifting champion. I mean, the biggest, the best. You've certainly earned the opportunity to say whatever you want to say. I'll give you the final word, sir. What say you?
Health is your greatest wealth. It is. You never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. But the Egyptians tried to fix it, but they couldn't.
I'm going to play that back twice. That was powerful.
Let me tell you something. Without your health, I don't care what you have. You have to really pay attention to yourself, be the best physical shape you can be. That's why, like Dr. Sherwood, I was with him today. He drew my blood. He has a new comprehensive blood lab work that could tell me what I'm lacking as far as my vitamins, nutrition, because I'm always open to learn new things. I don't know everything, but just saying I learned from him because he's an expert in that field, especially his wife, Michelle, who's a doctor, what they overcome in their life. It's amazing because I love learning from people to better my life. Like for you, I will learn more for business from you because you're an expert in that field. I'm open to learn things because that's important. That's what makes life rich.
I just can't tell you what an honor it is to have you in Tulsa, Oklahoma, have you here in the Thrivetime Show studio. And I encourage everybody out there to apply what you've learned today. We like to end every show here at the Thrivetime Show with a boom, because boom stands for big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum. You can learn all this, but if you don't activate, knowledge without application is meaningless. So I encourage everybody out there to mentally participate and then activate. Go out there and implement what you're learning. So we're going to end this show and every show with a boom. So here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom! Thank you.
My name is Tyler Hallblade, and Primo Trailer Manufacturing is my company, and we are located in Phoenix, Arizona. Over 2019, we grew by just over 300%. We have implemented a number of new strategies over that year that helped cause the growth. 2 of them were a call script along with a sales campaign, through hiring the right employees. Through our weekly interview, we were able to find a good staff that worked with our method that has led to our growth. I've worked with the Thrivetime for about 7 to 8 months now. My weekly meetings with Andrew are high energy, positive, and motivating. If anyone was considering the Thrivetime Show, I would say if you're willing to work hard and put in the hours and actually want to change your life and business, I would definitely recommend doing it.
Hello, my name is Charles Kolaw with Kolaw Fitness. Today I want to tell you a little bit about Clay Clark and how I know Clay Clark. Clay Clark has been my business coach since 2017. He's helped us grow from 2 locations to now 6 locations. We're planning to do 7 locations in 7 years and then franchise. And Clay has done a great job of helping us navigate anything that has to do with like running the business, building the systems, the checklists, the workflows, the audits, how to navigate lease agreements, how to buy property, how to work with brokers and builders. This guy is just amazing. He's this kind of guy has worked in every single industry. He's written books with like Lee Cockrell, head of Disney, with the 40,000 cast members. He's friends with like Mike Lindell. He does Reawaken America tours, where he does these tours all across the country, where 10,000 or more people show up to some of these tours. On the day-to-day, he does anywhere from about 160 companies. He's at the top. He has a team of business coaches, videographers, and graphic designers and web developers, and they run 160 companies every single week. So think of this guy with a team of business coaches running 160 companies. So in the weekly, he's running 160 companies. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's doing Reawaken America tours. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's also doing business conferences where 200 people show up, and he teaches people a 13-step proven system that he's done and worked with billionaires, helping them grow their companies. So I've seen guys from startups go from startup to being multimillionaires, teaching people how to get time freedom and financial freedom through the system. Critical thinking, document creation, putting it into organizing everything in their head to building into a franchisable, scalable business. Like one of his businesses has like 500 franchises. That's just one of the companies or brands that he works with. So amazing guy. Elon Musk, kind of like smart guy. He kind of comes off sometimes as socially awkward, but he's so brilliant, and he's taught me so much. When I say that, like Clay is like, he doesn't care what people think when you're talking to him. He cares about where you're going in your life and where he can get you to go. And that's what I like most about him. He's like a good coach. A coach isn't just making you feel good all the time. A coach is actually helping you get to the best you. And Clay has been an amazing business coach. Through the course of that, we became friends. I was really most impressed with him is when I was shadowing him one time. We went into a business deal and listened to it. I got to shadow and listen to it. And when we walked out, I knew that he could make millions on the deal. And they were super excited about working with him. And he told me, he's like, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to turn it down, because he knew it was going to harm the common good of people in the long run. And the guy's integrity just really wowed me. It brought tears to my eyes to see that this guy, his highest desire was to do what's right. And anyways, just an amazing man. So anyways, impacted me a lot. He's helped navigate anytime I've got nervous or worried about how to run the company, or navigating competition and an economy that's like, I remember we got closed down for 3 months. He helped us navigate on how to stay open, how to get back open, how to just survive through all the COVID shutdowns, lockdowns, because our clubs were all closed for 3 months, and you have $350,000 of bills you got to pay, and we have no accounts receivable. He helped us navigate that, and of course we were conservative enough that we could afford to take that on for a period of time. But it was anyways, great man. I'm very impressed with him. So Clay, thank you for everything you're doing, and I encourage you, if you haven't ever worked with Clay, work with Clay. He's going to help magnify you, and there's nobody I have ever met that has the ability to work as hard as he does. He probably sleeps 4, maybe 6 hours a day, and literally the rest of the time he's working, and he can outwork everybody in the room every single day, and he loves it. So anyways, this is Charles Kola with Kola Fitness. Thank you, Clay, and anybody out there that's wanting to work with Clay, it's a great opportunity to ever work with him. So you guys have a blessed one. This is Charles Kola. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Okay, Aaron Antis, March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, guess who's coming to Tulsa, Jerusalem?
Ooh, Santa Claus?
No, that's March 6th and 7th. We're going to be joined by Robert Kiyosaki. Best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Probably the best-selling, or one of the best-selling business authors of all time. And he's going to be joined with Eric Trump. He'll be joined by Eric Trump. So we got Eric Trump, and Robert Kiyosaki in the same place.
In the same place.
Aaron, why should everybody show up to hear Robert Kiyosaki?
Well, you got billions of dollars of business experience between those two, not to mention many, many, many millions of books have been sold. Many, many millionaires have been made from the books that have been sold by Robert Kiyosaki. I happen to be one of them. I learned from the man. He was the inspiration. That book was the inspiration for me to get the entrepreneurial spirit, as many other people.
Now, since you won't brag on yourself, I will. You've sold billions of dollars of houses, am I correct?
That is true.
And the book that kickstarted it all for you,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, the guy that kickstarted your career.
Yeah.
He's going to be here.
He's going to be here. I'm pumped.
And now Eric Trump, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States and soon to be the 47th president of these United States, he needed someone to run the companies for him. And so the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint.
Right.
I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second. Would you buy a ticket just to see Robert Kiyosaki and Eric Trump? Of course you would.
Of course you would.
But we're also going to be joined by Sean Baker. This is the best-selling author, the guy who invented the carnivore diet.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Sean Baker. He's been on Joe Rogan multiple times. He's going to be joining us. So you've got Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Eric Trump, Sean Baker. The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here. With the most people we've ever had in this building was for the Jim Brewer presentation. Jim Brewer came here, the legendary comedian Jim Brewer came to Tulsa, and we had 419 people that were here. 419 people.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, there's no more room. I felt kind of bad that if a couple people had VIP seats in the men's restroom. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. But I thought, you know what, we should probably add on. So we're adding on what we call the upper deck, or the top shelf. So the seats are very close to the presenters, but we're actually building right now. We're adding on to the facility to make room to accommodate about another 30 attendees or more. So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. It's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. And anybody, don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences, and so to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102. 02.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years. So let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah. We're going to dive into, so many people say, oh, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business is and make it a household name? You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge. Learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then, you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. And you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard. And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch and to make it entertaining when you're stretching. This is a true story. When you get up and stretch, you'll be greeted by mariachis. There's going to probably be alpaca here, llamas, helicopter rides, a coffee bar, a snow cone. There's just...
You had a crocodile one time. That was pretty interesting.
I should write that down and actually do that.
Sorry for that one guy that we lost.
The crocodile, we duct taped its face so that we duct taped.
No, it was a baby crocodile.
And it was duct tape.
Yeah, duct tape around the mouth so it didn't bite anybody. But it was really cool passing that thing around and
I should do that. We have a small petting zoo that will be assembled. It's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed. So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business. But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. And this is no hyperbole. No exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months.
Yeah.
Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet. And then you add to that Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You add to that Eric Trump, the man that runs the Trump Organization. You add to that Sean Baker. Now you might say, but Clay, is there more? I need more. Well, okay, Tom Wheelwright is the wealth strategist for Robert Kiyosaki. So people say, Robert Kiyosaki, who's his financial wealth advisor? Who's the guy who manages, who's his wealth strategist? His wealth strategist, Tom Wheelwright, will be here. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And Jill Donovan, our good friend, who is the founder of Rustic Cuff. She started that company in her home, and now she sells millions of dollars of apparel and products. That's rusticcuff.com. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma, and nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns what do you call that? The rental,
storage space,
storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event. Again, the day here is March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, we just got confirmation. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he'll be here. Eric Trump, the man who leads the Trump Organization. It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. You think that's going to change your life? I promise you, this will be 10 times better than that.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Now, don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. I mean, it is life-changing. It is life-changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life-changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right, really. So if you're looking to have life-changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you, it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.